Okay, so this is a SEO 101 high level, very, very beginner training session on, this is going to be a video for you if you just heard what SEO means for the first time, and maybe you have a website or you're interested in getting onto page one of Google, but you're not really sure what a backlink is or what an anchor text is or what on-site optimization is. So this is essentially going to be a very early stage, very basic introduction to it. So this is actually me training some of my team members for the Outreach Mama staff on what SEO is, so they can perform some tasks better and learn about the industry better. But I figured I would record this, post it online, so people who are also trying to learn more about the space can get some value from it. So let's start from the very beginning. Search engine optimization is the act of trying to get your website more visible when people are searching for various things in Google. I think that's pretty simple. That's pretty basic. So you go to google.com or bing.com or yahoo.com, whatever you like, and you type in a search term. You might type in something like link building software. And if you are a link building company or link building software, chances are you want to show up near the top, right? When it comes to Google, they make all of their money on ads. So when you first click on a keyword, if it's a commercial keyword or somebody wants to bid on that keyword, chances are you're going to see ads below or above the fold. So the first 4 positions are typically ads, unless there's a slight tweak on that. And then what they have after that is this is what they call a featured snippet, which is basically they just take a high ranking page. They scrape some content off of that page and they show it at the very top. If you ever use like a tool like OK Google and you ask it for link building software, what the software will actually do is it'll take this featured content and it'll just kind of recite it back to you. But if you look at one of our sites, we typed in link building software. Outreach Mama comes up number 2 in Google. It has a page called link building tools. You click on that page, it tells you all about the 50 different softwares, pros and cons, gives you a review and links out to each one of those software items. So when you look at the results, there's 46 million results in Google for that term that's relevant to this keyword. And we were able to get Outreach Mama to number 2. At the time of this recording, this web page is about 3 months old. So we were able to do it in 3 months' time. So you might ask yourself, well, if you're a business owner, you're selling a product or a service, or you want to make affiliate money and you want to get traffic to your site, and you think Google is attractive because anyone that clicks on this link, I'm not paying Facebook for it, I'm not paying Google for it. That's free traffic that's coming to my site, and then I can try to monetize that traffic in one of many ways. So how did I get up there? Well, there's 2 key things that we work on when we're trying to rank a keyword like this. Number 1 is getting the page optimized for SEO. We call that on-site optimization. If you look at some of the things that are on this page, you see the title says link building tools, and it has the word software, and it has 2007 in it. Because people can search for this in various ways. They might put in this link building software. They might put in link building software 2017. They might put in tools for SEO, and we're optimizing the title for multiple instances of a very related keyword. And then we have that same thing. We have some of those keywords sprinkled throughout the content. We don't over optimize keywords. We try to use synonyms, and there's tons of ways you can research this, but again, this is very high level. So this is how you optimize a site: by keywords, by providing really great unique content. And oftentimes for information-based searches, Google's looking to bring pages to the top of the search that are really in-depth, really definitive, really high quality. So we invested a lot of time and money, getting this content here and then designing it well. And, overall, if someone comes here and they get what they want and then they stop searching, that's a really positive signal for Google. If somebody clicks on the search result, it visits the site and then hits the back button and then searches on the next search result, it's telling Google that, hey, even though this page is ranking, it didn't give the seeker what they wanted. Therefore, maybe it's not a good result. So if that keeps happening over and over again, well, then eventually Google's going to derank your page. And it might be that the site is too slow. It might be that the data is outdated. It might be that the information is just not relevant. And either way, Google didn't used to track this kind of stuff 5-10 years ago, but now it's getting a bigger and bigger role in the algorithm. So let's say on-site optimization is one component of SEO. Well, what are some other components? Link building is another big one. So let's get this word on paper. Link building. How would you define link building? It's essentially trying to get your page, your website talked about on other websites, and you want them to link back to you. Therefore, it's called link building. So if we look specifically at this page, for example, there's a tool that we use often. It's called Ahrefs, and it's basically kind of like an index of the internet. The Google robot, it's just a little bot that crawls through a site. If it gets to this page, it's gonna read the content. It's gonna see that there's a link here. It's going to see that there's a link here. It's going to see the 100 other links on this page. It's going to see the links in the menu, and it's basically just crawling through the site. So the bot will go to this page. It'll crawl that page, that page, that page. What ends up happening is that it's creating an index of your site, and as it follows the websites that you link to, it indexes that website, and so on and so on and so on. And at some point, it's got a vast amount of the internet indexed. So a lot of times people think that, hey, if you do a Google search, you're searching for the entire internet. That's not really true. You're searching Google's index of the internet, which, while it's massive, it's actually only a small fraction of what the internet actually is. The stuff that Google isn't really indexing, I think there's a bunch of terms for it. I think the dark web is a popular term. But there's software products like Ahrefs, for example, that try to do the same thing that Google does. So it's kind of like a huge database of websites in its own. And what's attractive about it is that it's got one of the largest indexes out there. So if you're trying to get a sense of trying to understand what Google sees, you can get a subscription to something like an Ahrefs, SEMrush, Majestic, Moz, and they kind of try to do the same thing. They try to collect all that data, and they try to give it to people like us in a way that is useful. So before that tangent, I was talking about a backlink, and we're talking about link building. So link building is the art of getting backlinks. Talk about what a backlinking is. Well, if we go to Ahrefs and we click on backlinks, for example, we'll see a bunch of websites listed here. Let's go to the number one result. Venngage is it's a popular infographic making software, and so if you look at this paragraph here where it says link building tools and tactics, if you were to open this link, you see that it links to this link building tools article that I've just been talking about. This link building tools article, which happens to rank number 2 in Google for the search term link building software. So Venngage is actually a really popular website. It's got a ton of backlinks on its own. It's been in the space for a long time. It's got tons of traffic. And when it has signals like this, and it keeps doing this kind of good work over time, Google is actually smart enough to recognize that this is an authority in the space of marketing. So if an authority like Venngage links to a piece of content on my website, Outreach Mama, it's basically a vote from Venngage that says, hey, we're a good website. We only write great content. We only link to other great websites. Here's a great website. So this becomes one backlink. And we have 50 of those from unique domains pointing back to this page. Because we have 50 of those, and 50 of those links are of high quality, it's giving Google the right signals that, hey, this is not only is it optimized well for the keyword, not only is it really long content, Not only is it very thorough, but it's linked to from 50 other really great sites that we trust. Because it has all these signals, it's possible to rank for a competitive keyword like link building software in just under 3 months, right? But there's a lot of different factors here at play. So if that's just the 500-foot view, you also want to look at the fact that these are the words that the backlink contains. So it contains link building tools and tactics. In our example, this is what you'd call the anchor text. Anchor text is essentially the clickable text on one website, and it's in my case, it's linking to a page on my website. Now, this could be a link to an internal page, so this could be linking to the homepage. Anything that is a hyperlink, which is another word for this, the words are considered to be anchor text. And when it comes to SEO, anchor text is very, very important, because if you think about how Google first got started and how it first came to dominate the industry, it's because its search quality, the results that people got, actually gave the people what they wanted. So there were other competitors, of course, a lot much bigger than Google when Google first got started. And most of the results that came out of those search engines were not relevant to what the user was searching. The founders of Google, they came out with a system that was automated, and it still generated amazing results. And basically what they said is that if let's say Venngage again, if Venngage is a quality site, and they use the anchor text link building tools and tactics, and wherever that link is pointing, it must be relevant to the words link building tools and tactics. So essentially, that's how it started indexing the internet, by using anchor text. So knowing that's the case, if we were to look at the different anchor text that we use for links pointing to this page, what are we going to see? We're going to see a lot of it contains words related to link building tools, software, tools, great, best, links. It's anchor text that's really relevant to some of the keywords that we're targeting. Many years ago, if you saw the #1 or #2 ranked page in Google for the keyword link building software, chances are you would not see an anchor text profile like this. And what ended up happening several years ago is that people figured out that it was pretty easy to manipulate Google to generate the search results that you wanted. So what they'd end up doing is they'd create a page, and that page would not be 7,000 words or 5,000 words. No, it would be a really short article. It would have the keyword link building tools in it about 10% of the time. And it would basically just be spoon feeding the fact that, hey, this is an article about link building. And then they would take it one step further. They would get backlinks from other websites, and every single anchor text would be link building software or link building tools. And they would just repeat that over and over again. So you see how there's 43 phrases here, 6% of this, 6% is that, 4% is this, 4% is that. In old school SEO, it would be 70% link building tools, 30% link building software, and that's it. And people did really well with that formula. People made millions and millions of dollars. They got onto page one for whatever they wanted. And the thing is, you wouldn't need to get on a high quality site like a Venngage. Now, what people were doing is they would create their own websites. They would buy a domain for $5. They would, maybe get $5 worth of content put on there, and they'd publish an article about link building software, and then they would link back to their main site. So people were literally buying up hundreds of websites, putting up some really bad content up there, linking it back to their site, and Google was crawling all of this data, and it was rewarding these SEOs with page 1 rankings, with top #1 rankings. Meanwhile, other actual brands who didn't really understand the concept of SEO, but they were out there trying to create great content. They were out there, doing PR, generating press, doing the things you're supposed to do as a real brand. They were not getting those top rankings. And then at some point, Google, this problem just got out of control. More and more people were learning how to manipulate the algorithms. But on the other end, Google is getting smarter each and every day too, right? Every single day, there's millions of people searching, it's crawling millions of backlinks. And at some point, it had so much data about what a natural backlink looks like versus what an artificial backlink looks like, that in 2012, they completely upended their algorithm. If you, at some point, you'll want to learn a bit more about Google Penguin. You see, at the time of this recording, it's Penguin 4.0, but back when Penguin 1.0 came out, April 2012, it was taking all these SEOs that were manipulating the system, and it dropped the hammer on them hard. So it basically said that if you're a brand and you're creating amazing content and you're generating backlinks naturally, your backlink profile is going to look a certain way. Whereas if you're artificially manipulating the search engines, if you're manipulating the authority that your site has, your website is going to look a certain way. And if it recognized the pattern that your website had, and if that pattern was spammy, you lost all your rankings almost overnight. So, people that were having success with this, and there were people who used things like the AdSense network. They did lead generation. They sold products. They were making millions of dollars a year, sometimes a month, and they lost all of their rankings and everything went down to zero. So a lot of these people got wiped out, and they continue getting wiped out as Google refines its algorithm, as it updates it more frequently. When it first started, Google would only update its algorithm every year. So every year, it would check to see who's check to see who's being spammy and remove them from the algorithm. And then that would give everybody a year to kind of spam up the search engines again. And then they would run their filters again and knock them down. Nowadays they do dozens of updates a day, hundreds a year. So the iteration speed is a lot faster. And essentially, if you want to play SEO in the game today, you can still spam and you can still have success with it. It's still essentially, Google is still a robot. It's still just crawling the web. And if you're creative enough, you can create artificially inflated blogs. You can rank your website for particular keywords. You can still do it, but Google's made it so much harder for people that it's actually easier now to do things the right way, the way Google intended. So let me recap for a second. We've covered the basics of link building, what a link is, what an anchor text is, how backlinks play a role in Google and rankings. And if you have more backlinks than your competitors, you're probably going to rank higher than them. However, if they have less backlinks, but their backlinks are of higher quality, then they might end up ranking better than you. If you build a lot of backlinks and they are of low quality, Google might end up hurting you. So the nuances involved in understanding what a good link is, what a bad link is, it takes years to really understand the difference. There's people that have been in the SEO industry for years now, right? And they can see through a bad link with just a glance. And I think the Google robot machines are not there yet, but with artificial intelligence on the rise, Google's going to get there. So it's more important than ever for business owners and SEOs to learn how to build links the right way. And the right way is actually with branding. So let's take a look at the Outreach Mama site, for example. There are only there's technically 4 big articles on this site. So we have the link building tools page, we have the guest posting sites page, we have the anchor text guide page, and then we have the link building case study page. Now, Why don't we look at guest posting sites as a keyword? So this long form keyword is ranking in the top 5 of Google. It's got about 25 backlinks going to it. If we look at link building case study, it's ranked number 2 in Google. And then we can look at something like anchor text. The anchor text article is a relatively new one. So the head terms aren't ranking on page 1 yet, but some of the long tail keywords, they're up there number 1. Now that's 4 articles. Each one of them are 5,000 words plus. And the way that SEO used to work is that you would have to, if you had anchor text guide, that would be 1 article. If you wanted to rank for anchor text optimization, that would be 1 article. If you wanted to rank for anchor text best practices, that would be another article. Anchor text 2017, another article. So the way Google was rewarding people is if the titles were optimized exactly for that keyword, they would rank you. Now Google has become more of a natural language learning algorithm where it wants to understand topics, and it wants to group together different topics into 1 category. And then if it trusts your content, it's going to rank you for tons and tons of different keywords. So for us, the goal for this article is to rank for the term anchor text. It's already on page 1 for stuff like guide, optimization, best practices 2017. And if you click on the article and you scroll through the page, you'll see that there's different sections broken up. It talks about what anchor text is, the different anchor types, the best practices, how to apply this to various types of websites. So instead of 1 small article that talks about 1 tiny thing, we're creating really long form articles, and we're talking about the entire category. And this is the kind of content that Google is looking for nowadays. And it actually allows you to focus in your energy and your budget into a handful of articles. And then once you create that amazing piece of content, either you might be an amazing writer. If not, you want to find an amazing writer. You want to design it well. You want to get it coded onto the site. While none of this stuff is easy, well, focusing on quality is not easy. All the pieces are there for you to find the people that you're looking for. Like you can go to something like an Upwork.com, for example, if you wanted to create some amazing content. You look for somebody that's in your space, and then like here's a job posting I put up not too long ago. I was looking for somebody to write some jokes, to create some like humorous piece of content to put online and use in ads. So you can just create a posting for that. And then once you have a high quality piece of content, that's when you do things like guest posting outreach. Like this is actually an article that talks about the different 700 guest posting sites, and it teaches you how to reach out to these sites and how to find opportunities of your own. So if you read a guide like this, you apply knowledge, then you can actually build quality links to the content you created. And if you do more and more of that, you're going to have success. So one thing I haven't talked about yet is the power of branding when it comes to SEO. So it's pretty clear that the reason somebody thinks about SEO is that they have certain keywords that they want to rank for. Because those keywords they're gonna achieve something for the webmaster. But Google is not in the industry of rewarding somebody just because they want something. They want to reward people who have earned the right to be ranked in the top 3 of Google. Essentially, it comes down to trust. If Google trusts your site, it's more likely to rank your content. If you create this amazing, amazing piece of content, but Google hasn't trusted you yet, then chances are no matter how many links you build, it's going to be an uphill battle for you. However, if you're on Google's good side and you create content like this content, it ranked in Google within 45 days of publishing, just a handful of links. And that wasn't necessarily because the content was so thorough, although that helps. The biggest thing is what we call branded SEO. So I taught you the concept of what link building is, what anchor text optimization is, but how does that apply to branding? Well, let me give you an example. So I'm going to go back to Ahrefs here. And this time, I just want to see the backlinks that are going directly to the home page of my website. So let's update this filter to just exact match, or just the URL. I'm going to pull up my anchor text guide article so you can see some, understand a bit more about what I'm talking about. So anchor text best practices, talked about what anchor text is, but we didn't necessarily talk about how to best apply this for your SEO. So this anchor text can be broken into 13 different anchor texts. The one I showed you to the link building tools article, it said something like link building tools and tactics. So if we were to categorize that into the 1 of 13 anchor text, we would actually consider that to be a keyword plus word. Let me explain. So my keyword is link building tools. The anchor text I used was link building tools and tactics. So I had the keyword in it, plus I had additional words in it. If the anchor text had just been tools, for example, then it would, or tools that you should use, for example, it would be considered only part of the keyword. And then, so there's these 13 types, so we don't have to go into each and every single one of them. But when it comes to gaining branded trust in Google, you need to have a ton of anchor text that points back to your site that contains your brand as the anchor text. So if you look at the Outreach Mama brand, 72% of the overall referring domains contain the anchor text Outreach Mama. That's Outreach Mama brand anchor text. Other branded signals are just the URL as the anchor text, part of the URL, misspellings of the brand, weird punctuations around the brand. So this makes up a vast majority of my anchor text profile. As simple as it may sound, that's essentially what building a brand is in Google's eyes. It's just having a ton of backlinks, but instead of trying to optimize for any particular keyword, you're optimizing for your brand as the anchor text. When you launch a new website, people tend to think, okay, I have a new website, now it's time for me to do SEO and become more visible for keywords. That's actually backwards. You launch a new website, then you do branded SEO for 6 months to a year, if you can stomach it. And then you start moving on to various keywords, because you know what ends up happening while you're doing that branded trust building and you're getting on Google's good side. Google starts reading the titles on your page, the title on your homepage. And because it's starting to trust you as a brand, it's naturally more inclined to rank what you're trying to rank for without you even trying. So an example of that would be, I have this, Outreach Mama is a link building service, right? It does guest posting, for example. Now, when I first started trying to rank this website, I wasn't really focused on commercial terms for the first 6 months, 9 months. Actually, I haven't been focused on it at all, even recently. But because I focused on branded so much with quality backlinks, Outreach Mama ranks for keywords like blogger outreach services, guest posting services, guest blogging services, guest post services. It ranks naturally because Google trusts the website. And now, because the trust is there, I can publish content for really competitive keywords. I can build a handful of links, and I can rank much more quickly because this branded exercise happened in the beginning. All right, so this is a good introduction to SEO. In general, we kind of went over how SEO works, what the different factors are, what some of the 500-foot view considerations are, and why you should be focused on different things at different time periods. I think in some of our next sessions, we can go into more granular details about each and every single one of these components, because there's nuances to the nuances. But I'd say for now, this is a pretty good start.